One night in Las Vegas, the FBI was running an undercover operation in which a notorious cartel boss named Gabriel Cortez was transferred to the federal death row. Cortez, known as the most dangerous boss since Pablo Escobar, is heavily guarded and chained up as he's moved to a waiting van by federal agents. Agent John Bannister is the one calling the shots for this op. He's got a whole convoy lined up, and he's even got the human rescue team on board. They strategically positioned the van carrying Cortez and the agent guarding him in the middle. Just when everything seems to be going according to plan, the unthinkable happens. An electromagnetic crane, operated from the rooftop of a nearby building, lifts the van off the ground. Here, the electromagnet thoughtfully decides to only attract the agent's gun, not the prisoner's shackles and all the other metal stuff. Cortez, who was ready for this, suddenly lashes out at the agent and begins grappling with him. Meanwhile, Agent John and his team are completely stunned by the situation happening right in front of them. Out of nowhere, a gunner in black on the van's roof sparks a shootout with the FBI, resulting in the driver's instant death. Noticing the van being lifted to the rooftop, John orders his men to cease fire and head there. The FBI and the HRT swarm into the building as the van lands on the roof. Amidst the ongoing struggle in the van, Cortez's crew detonates a bomb and blows open the back door. Using an agent as a shield, Cortez makes his escape from the van, ziplining with his crew to the building across the street. Among the confusion, John notices the zip lines. The cartel seems to have thought of everything. As the feds get closer to the building, a bunch of men dressed as prisoners start running around the area, adding to the confusion. John believes he's captured Cortez when he catches one of them, only to realize he's been tricked. This distraction lets Cortez slip into an elevator and change clothes to continue his precisely detailed plan. In a side alley, Agents Richards and McKay are searching for Cortez when suddenly a car speeds towards them, hitting McKay. Calmly stepping out of the car, Cortez disarms Agent Richards before making his way towards McKay. Cortez seems to know everything about the man, even that he's going to be a dad soon. Despite this, as soon as McKay puts his gun down, Cortez cold-bloodedly puts a bullet into his brain. Unable to reach Richards via radio, John rushes to the alley, only to find McKay dead and Richards nowhere to be seen. Let's take a trip back to the day before in Summerton, Arizona, right near the Mexican border. That's where we find Sheriff Ray Owens. He's a former LAPD officer who went through specialized training in the elite tactical division. Ray's no stranger to danger. He even got a Valor Medal after surviving being shot 5 times during a shootout with drug smugglers, but sadly his team didn't make it. It's no wonder he decided to leave the chaos behind and be the sheriff here in Summerton. So it's Ray's day off, and most of the townsfolk, including the mayor, are getting ready to catch a football game. But before they all head out, the mayor hands Ray the key to his dear Chevy and asks him to take good care of her. Later at the local diner, Ray bumps into a couple of suspicious truckers, one named Burrell, who claims to be transporting auto parts. Ray's intuition kicks in when they hastily depart, making him write down their license plate number just in case. In a quiet little town where crime is rare, Ray has 3 deputies under his command who lack any real field experience. 2 of them, Mike and Jerry, have decided to put the donuts aside and have some real fun by shooting a slab of beef, accompanied by Dinkum, a vintage arms enthusiast and museum owner. Jerry's a total rookie. He doesn't seem to have any idea what recoil is and ends up breaking his own nose with the first shot. The fun comes to an end when Ray enters the scene and scolds them. After handing over the license plate number to his deputies and telling them to run it, Ray joins the beef shooters and shows them how it's done.
Sorry. Yeah.
I got something for you.
Okay.
On the space for me.
Burrell meets his crew at a farm near town. It turns out that Ray's suspicions are correct, Burrell is not transporting car parts, and he is involved in some shady dealings. To satisfy the landowning farmer, Burrell offered him money, but the stubborn old man just wanted him to leave his property, pulled out his rifle, and fired a warning shot. As a result, Burrell ordered his men to shoot the farmer as he walked away gently.
Some trouble with the farmer.
Get the hell off my property.
Take the lead.
At the Summerton Sheriff's Office, we meet another deputy, Sarah. She put her ex-boyfriend in jail, as ordered by the sheriff. The man is Frank, a veteran who served in Iraq and Afghanistan, and has been a close friend of Jerry's for years. It's clear that Frank wants to mend fences with Sarah, but Sarah isn't interested. Later, Jerry asks Mike to show him how to run the number plate Ray gave him earlier. Later that evening, Jerry goes to Ray's place and informs him that Burrell, the owner of the plate, has no criminal record. However, that's not the only purpose of Jerry's visit. He asks Ray to help him get a job with the LAPD, to which Ray agrees. The next morning, Ray is woken up by a phone call. The restaurant worker, Christy, tells him that the farmer hasn't delivered the milk, and she's worried because the old man has never missed a delivery for as long as she can remember. Ray sends 2 of his deputies to check the farmhouse, and they soon discover the old man's body on the floor. When the sheriff arrives at the murder scene, he orders Sarah and Jerry to look for tire tracks. Despite Mike's theory of a botched robbery, Ray thinks otherwise. After examining the gunshot wound to the farmer's head, he concludes that the murder weapon was not a gun. Further investigation of the area reveals blood trails outside the house. As a result, Ray concludes that the victim was actually killed outside the house and then moved inside to thwart the investigation. Back in Vegas, John and his team learn that Cortez and his crew are separated in the car park. He and Agent Richards are in a specially modified Corvette ZR1, a 1,000 horsepower monster that was stolen just days ago. Cortez, who is also a professional racing driver, is speeding down the street and no police car can catch him. Agent Richards is trapped in the passenger seat, handcuffed to the steering wheel as a hostage, watching Cortez drive the car in terror. On John's orders, all airfields and private landlines have been closed, leaving Cortez no choice but to stay on the road. She calls John on a disposable phone and threatens that if he tries to stop her, Richards will pay the price. Back to the chase. Even though Cortez is driving down this narrow road with no streetlights, a chopper somehow spots him. The FBI quickly orders a blockade with lots of cop cars and officers, hoping to stop him. Little do they know, Cortez has 2 SUVs packed with armed guys leading the way. In the blink of an eye, they blast a hail of bullets at the cops and kill them all.
5 minutes. Move.
The barricade's been completely destroyed.
Then a truck equipped with a massive cowcatcher clears the path, letting Cortez pass without a scratch. Although Cortez got rid of the roadblock, he still got that chopper on his tail. After driving for a bit, it becomes clear that Agent Richards was actually bought off by Cortez, and she was the one who provided him with information for his rescue mission. According to their deal, Cortez moves $3 million into the lady's Swiss bank account. He then gives her the go-ahead to remove her handcuffs, allowing her to come out of the hostage role she's been playing. Then Cortez pulls off his next move. He switches on the night vision camera, kills the headlights, and slams the brakes to vanish from the chopper's sight. When the chopper tries to turn around, Cortez simply keeps driving in his direction and manages to slip away unnoticed.
He's gone.
Now he drives like a shadow in the night, leaving John frustrated over another defeat against Cortez. John quickly begins figuring out that Cortez is heading for the Mexican border. The only way across is Los Algodones crossing point. However, the nearest path to the border goes through Summerton, and there are no official roads from there to the border. If Cortez gets to the border through Summerton, a deep, narrow valley awaits him. Nevertheless, John decides to give the sheriff a ring and fill him in. He speaks arrogantly and belittles Ray, but Ray hangs up on him. Knowing that a fugitive may be coming to his small town, Ray starts connecting the dots between the fugitive, the old man's murder, and the truckers he spotted at the diner. At the same time, Jerry and Sarah are following the tire tracks, and they lead them straight to the border. There, Burrell and his crew are busting their tails, building a bridge for Cortez to make his great escape. Then, Ray comes in over the radio, telling Sarah to stay away from those guys once he figures out what's going on. But poor Jerry's already caught up in the chaos. He takes a bullet and hits the dirt. Now, the bad guys set their sights on Sarah, but she's quick on her feet and takes cover behind her car. This gives Jerry a chance to find cover too, limping toward a nearby boulder. Burrell orders his crew to kill the lights and put on night vision goggles. Unfortunately, Jerry's not exactly the master of flawless plans. He decides to make a move towards Sarah and winds up catching another bullet. Just as the shooter's about to finish him off, Mike and Ray arrive to save him. Ray mows down the guy, taking out a few other bad guys, and saves Jerry and Sarah from the mess. Unfortunately, Jerry doesn't make it and passes away in Sarah's arms.
Can't believe it's gone.
Later, at the sheriff's office, Frank is devastated to learn about his best friend's passing. His feelings hit hard when he finds out Jerry's last words were asking Sarah to make things right with Frank. Ray gives John a call a bit later. Even though John doubts it, Ray is 100% sure the fugitive is heading straight for Summerton because he witnessed a mobile assault bridge being put up across the valley. Nevertheless, John tries to act like he's in control and talks down to Ray. But Ray gets really mad and hangs up on him again. John quickly sends a SWAT team over to Summerton, and Cortez encounters them on his way. He hits the gas and zooms past the team, pulls off a J-turn, and starts driving backward right in front of the SWAT SUV. Before they know what's happening, Cortez slams on the brakes, making a ramp for the Suburban. Cortez then pulls off another J-turn and drives away like a boss, leaving the SWAT Hummer to crash right into the mess. Back at the sheriff's office, Ray realizes that SWAT is not coming, so he decides to handle things himself. He's ready to confront Cortez and his crew and avenge his deputy's death. Mike is not pretty sure that they could stand against the cartel and wants to back down, but when he sees Sarah and even Frank step forward, he reluctantly jumps on board. As a result, Ray sets Frank free and deputizes him.
I took the same oath as you, Ray.
Need my help. You happy?
They all head over to Dinkham's place to grab some gear from his museum. But the gun maniac wants to be a deputy like Frank. He brings along all kinds of weapons, from sniper rifles to machine guns, and even this toy-like one that looks kind of like the one on my phone.
Witness.
What a beauty.
Bring everything you got.
Let's go.
Meanwhile, John wonders how Cortez was able to plan the escape so accurate. He tells his crew to dig up everyone's financial details in order to fish out the mole. On top of that, he asks for live satellite snapshots of the valley to confirm the sheriff's story about the bridge. Ray and his deputies are blocking Cortez's way by setting up roadblocks on the town's main street. He tells Sarah to post up in a nearby building with a good view and being his spotter, while he assigns Mike to hold the fort behind the blockade. Then he talks to the other folks in town, telling them to find a safe place to hide, which doesn't work out too well. As John's flying to Summerton on a private jet, suddenly satellite images arrive and confirm that the sheriff was absolutely right about the bridge. John feels even more embarrassed when he finds out that the old sheriff got a Medal of Valor for taking 5 bullets in a battle against a group of drug smugglers. Burrell and his men arrive in the town to make sure their boss's path is clear. On the main street, Burrell starts making fun of the cars blocking the street and commands his men to clear them out, eliminating anyone in their way. All of a sudden, the diner worker Christy pops up. Mike, hiding behind the cars, spots her first and tells her to flee, but Christy starts asking dumb questions.
This is gonna be a lot of fun. You shoot anything that moves. Christy!
Jesus, Figgy!
Christy, you gotta...
Come on! Get down! Get down!
This prompts Mike to take action, opening fire to protect the girl. He lays down cover fire so she can dash to safety in the diner. Then, out of nowhere, the bad guys take out their shoulder-fired launcher and blow up the car Mike's hiding behind. They think they've killed Mike, but once the smoke clears up, he shows up with his old machine gun and opens fire on them. Although he manages to hit several, a sniper shot eventually brings him down. That's when Sarah steps in and shoots down the sniper, diverting attention to herself. The bad guys start raining bullets on her hiding spot. One of them manages to reach the rooftop, but just as he's about to shoot, Frank arrives in a school bus. Suddenly, this guy's ADHD kicks in, and he decides to jump onto the bus and get his head shot. Frank pulls off a handbrake turn real quick, making sure the rear is facing the bad guys. Then the sheriff, with a hand from Dinkum, bursts out of the back door and starts blasting away with his HMG, taking out all the threats in sight. However, there's still more to come. Burrell, hiding behind a car, and one of his goons up on a rooftop starts shooting back. Ray jumps into action once again, smashing through the door to get inside the diner.
We have to order.
Once on the roof, he tackles the rooftop shooter and headshots him while in midair. At the same time, another gunman spots Sarah on the roof and starts heading her way, but Frank jumps in real quick and takes care of the problem by making a human colander out of the man. Looks like Frank and Sarah are not going to be ex-partners after this. On the other hand, the only guy left from Burrell's crew tries to attack Dinkum, but ends up blown to bits by his wacky gun. Dinkum then rushes over to help Mike, but out of nowhere, Burrell takes a shot at him, injuring him too. That totally ticks off Ray, and he decides to go after Burrell himself. Turns out, Burrell snuck onto the bus when he starts shooting at Ray from there. Ray's quick on his feet, though. He slides under the bus and pops the guy in the ear from below. Then, he jumps on the bus and takes him out cold, proving who's the boss around here.
Drop the weapon.
Meanwhile, Cortez suddenly arrives on his lightning-fast car. Ray and his crew try to stop him, but he slips away without a scratch. At that time, Ray's attention is drawn to the mayor's car. Before Cortez reaches the border, he uses his lips to say goodbye to Agent Richards and then kicks her out of the car. As Cortez happily heads for the border, Ray suddenly appears and starts tailing him. They're neck and neck, playing a little game of chase, but they both end up crashing into a farm machine and come to a stop. Cortez continues on foot and eventually reaches the bridge. However, his escape hits a roadblock when he comes face to face with the sheriff.
Put those on. Oh, I will.
Cortez tries to bribe him with a whopping $10 million, but Ray just tosses a handcuff his way and tells him to slap it on. Refusing to comply, Cortez finds himself in a tense standoff with the sheriff.
You are under arrest.
After a fierce battle, Ray manages to overpower Cortez and starts dragging him along the ground. Unexpectedly, the man pulls out a push dagger and begins slashing Ray left and right, ultimately stabbing him in the thigh. But Ray is not giving up. He disarms Cortez and puts the knife back where it belongs, into Cortez's thigh this time. Desperate, Cortez offers the sheriff $20 million just to look the other way, but Ray says that his honor is not for sale. That's when Cortez drops his not-so-classy line. The feds arrive in town fashionably late, and Sarah and Frank don't waste a moment to make a few snarky comments. It doesn't take long for Ray to show up, driving the mayor's beat-up car with Cortez in tow. That's when the sunshine and rainbows finale begins. Dinkum and Mike get patched up at the hospitals without any serious injuries. John slaps the cuffs on Agent Richards, being aware of the $3 million in her Swiss bank account. Ray chooses not to take Frank's deputy badge. And in the end, John admits to underestimating Ray and gives him a thank you straight from the heart.
Hey, you don't give up too easy. Impressive.
Schmuck.
The only one who doesn't seem happy is the mayor, who ends up with a wreck instead of his car.